Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. I feel as we're on the dance floor, we should be dancing rather than sitting.
I'm game if you are.
Absolutely. Talk amongst yourselves while we have a moment.
It's been a good day. All right. Well, David, first of all, congratulations. You got a room full of marketers out of bed before noon in Vegas. Should be applauded. Thank you so much. We're really excited to talk to you today. Beyond just your incredible Formula One history, 13 Grand Prix victories, 62 podium finishes, broadcaster, writer, brand ambassador, co-founder of agency Velocity Experience, and this is not an exhaustive list. You're a busy man, so thank you for being here today.
No, thank you, and well, good morning to everybody. I hopefully get the chance to have some conversations during the course of the morning. And this is a big moment. This is a big moment not only for Velocity and my partner Guy and the great team that we have, but it's a big moment for Formula One because I don't need to tell all of you are homebred Americans. You know, Las Vegas brings something a little extra to any show. So there's been a huge investment here from Formula One. Liberty Media, of course, have transformed the sports appeal, especially here in America, since they took over. And I think it just goes to confirm that America does sports entertainment very, very well, exceptionally well, and Formula One as a global sport is benefiting from that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Given your experience in Formula One and leading up to this week in Vegas, has there been one moment you are just most looking forward to, and has it happened yet, or is it to come? Excluding this moment.
Yeah, well, I raced in Formula One for 15 years, but I retired 15 years ago. So my stint in the sport is 30 years. You know, I'm a lifer when it comes to motor racing. So of course, I'm a fan. I just happened to have one of the best seats in the house for a period when I was racing. So I'm excited that the sport has finally found a foothold in America because when I was racing, we had the Indianapolis race, which was a bit of a failure on our part. We didn't manage to really connect with the audience in the right way. But it really feels now with Austin, with Miami, now with Las Vegas that we've got momentum here. So excited to be part of that. But actual truthful answer is I'm really looking forward to Saturday night after party in here where I can let what little hair I have left down and rediscover some moves on the dance floor and just celebrate how lucky we are to be involved in one of the best marketing platforms in sports, a true global sport in Formula One.
Amazing. And Formula One has just changed the U.S. landscape in terms of sports fandom. For the few people who haven't caught F1 fever, can you tell them what are they missing?
Well, Formula One is too much of a business to be a pure sport, too much of a sport to be just business. It's the fastest form of circuit racing. Drag cars will hit a higher top speed. Indy will average higher top speeds, but there's no car in the world that has the technology to go around the racetrack as quickly as a Formula One car. That's just the bare facts. So this is the fastest form of closed circuit racing. This is the reason why you have Ferrari. The only marketing Ferrari do is Formula One. You will not see an advertising for Ferrari anywhere else. But they have been part of this Formula One World Championship since its inception. This is why Ford are coming back to Formula One. And interestingly, when you mentioned the exit in 2004, that was actually the entry of Red Bull. They took over what was the Jaguar racing team owned by Ford at that time. And under the leadership and investment of Red Bull, they've taken that to be a multi-world championship Formula One team. So in many ways, it's kind of a coming home with Ford and Red Bull connecting for the future. So this is as good as it gets in terms of technology. These cars generate enough downforce to drive upside down along the roof, and that's a project that separately we're working on. We want to be able to bring that to a reality. And what I think would be so great about that stunt is the fact that it isn't just a pure stunt. It's not like somebody jumping out of an airplane without a parachute and landing in a net. This is a science project. It absolutely proves that the technologies that we develop in Formula One find their way onto our road cars in the future. Not that I think road cars are going to be driving on the roof, but the point being, there's just so much innovation within our industry. These are the most fuel efficient engines in the world. They're hybrid V6 turbos, and an entire season of Formula One racing uses less fuel than one transatlantic flight. So when a lot of people tend to get a bit sensitive about motor racing and emissions, we're a tiny drop in the ocean in terms of our emissions, and it's absolutely driving innovation for the automotive industry in the future, which is why they invest so heavily in Formula One.
Incredible. And can you talk for a minute about the importance of Las Vegas now within the Formula One schedule? How big of a deal is this?
It is a very important landmark event. As I said, Liberty have taken the step of being the promoters here. So typically your host Grand Prix are paying to Formula One for the right to host that race. But Liberty believes so much in this being a future home that they've invested here with buying the land, building the pit building, committing to a 10-year program. And of course, there's been some disruption getting everything ready for this first Grand Prix. But once people start to see the benefits of the audience that comes here, there's been many big sporting events here over the years, but nothing that has put Vegas visually on the world map in the way that this will. There will be hundreds of millions of people around the world watching this event and seeing all of the sights and sounds of Las Vegas as the cars go around. So, I think that will be a nice global stimulus package for putting this again as an important destination for so many things: conferences, sports, tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move into the intersection, more so F1 and marketing. Obviously, the two are interlinked so well. How big of a role does marketing play, and what brands are doing it right?
Well, as I mentioned previously, Ferrari only marketed through Formula One. So the importance of them being part of this very high-speed, glamorous, high technology sport is that they believe that this is the right platform for them to continue to build on what is an amazing legacy, and probably one of the most recognizable automotive brands in the world. Your Mercedes, your Fords, your Hondas and Alpine or Renault, choose to invest in the sport. One, because of the technology transfer, that just racing improves the breed. It drives innovation. One of the things that I love about sport is it's an immovable deadline. So many times in business do you see people delay the launch of a product because they can, not because they want to, but because they can. We can't delay the launch of our product. The first Grand Prix will happen in Bahrain at 5 o'clock on a certain date in March. Every single Formula One team, which has to design and build, none of these cars are the same. None of these parts you can buy at your auto centre. You've got to have total control of the IP. But we don't miss deadlines because in sports you can't. And when people operate to immovable deadlines, it just breeds a work ethic. It breeds a mentality of delivering. And I think when brands choose to be associated with Formula One, it's a sort of statement of how their philosophy is as a company, and that they will deliver for their customers, and that whatever the goal is, however high that goal seems, it will always be achieved. And a great example of that in Formula One is in safety. My career started through the death of Ayrton Senna. I was a test driver, he was killed. 2 weeks later, I'm now the race driver. We haven't had a fatality in Formula One for several years, and that is one fatality since the tragedies of '94, because the governing body set such high standards in terms of the safety cells, where engineers go, how can we achieve that? Well, they achieve it because you set high targets, that's an immovable target, you find solutions. So I think that in terms of the brands that choose to use Formula One, clearly it's a global sport, which is a perfect way if you're operating on the global market. If you're more of a domestic brand, then you can still have incredible activation through sport. It brings you together. And the great Nelson Mandela said that sport has the power to change the world. It has the ability to bring people together in a way that politicians can't. And I think that's true. From young kids to great-grandparents, sport brings people together.
I love that. I love the idea of the mindset as a business has to have to start working with Formula One, for sure. Is there anything else? There are a lot of marketers in the room that might be looking to engage in motorsport sponsorship, partnership, or even outside of motorsport. Are there any other things that we should consider as we are dipping our toe into that space?
Well, I think the most important thing for you all to be aware of if you are looking to bring brands into Formula One is you should be talking to Guy and I, because Velocity, we bring brands to Formula One. As I mentioned, I've been involved in the sport for 30 years. Formula One, that is. I've been in motor racing since I was 11 years old, and I'm now 52. So, we are so embedded in this world of motorsport and making activations happen, bringing brands to, bringing their brand to life through sport and through Formula One. We're active this weekend with Patron, with Puma, with Paramount Plus, amongst others. And this is what we live and breathe for. So, yeah, a little selfish sales pitch there, but other great companies out there, but just come to the best and we'll help you deliver.
I love that. So, how can brands, as they start to dip into motorsport, how can they be supportive to drivers in their own journey? Have you seen this work well? Or any ideas on how they can be set up their year ahead to just be the best support model?
Well, there's many examples actually, and a really good example would be Checo Perez. We've just recently been at the Mexican Grand Prix, and Checo has been supported by a number of very high-end, recognizable Mexican-founded companies who really chose to invest in young talent. And the benefits and rewards those companies are now getting, because Checo Perez is now a globally known sports star. In Mexico, he's huge. He's everywhere. He's literally billboarded everywhere. He's billboarded here through his association with Patron in Las Vegas. So investing early in young talent, Red Bull did something similar with Max Verstappen, who's our current world champion. They saw the potential and they chose to support him at the phase where he was transitioning from lower formulas, gave him the chance to drive in Formula One at 17. When he didn't actually have a driving license a road car license, that is. He had a racing license, but he didn't have a road car license. And then he debuted for them and won his first Grand Prix for the team. Such was the support that they gave him and the trust that they instilled in him. He has single-handedly grown markets and sales of Red Bull that previously they didn't have that sort of market growth. So they've seen the return on that investment because, as you all know, sport, it brings people together in a way, it connects us in a way that regular marketing campaigns have to be really special to be able to do the same. So, obviously I'm a big believer in that early investment and building the journey, building the story. It just becomes more sincere when it isn't just somebody putting a sticker on the side of the car and hoping the car will win the race. If you have these emotional stories, then we're emotional human beings. We buy into it. We love it. Who doesn't love a good journey?
Oh, we love it. I think that's, we've all been enraptured by the F1 story here in the States, and storytelling is really everything. And a plug for your book from me. I've just read The Winning Formula. If you haven't read it yet, it is absolutely awesome. And you do talk about building the velocity experience. You saw an area where you could really succeed in that space. And curious, first of all, what's harder, taking a turn at 200 miles an hour or running an agency?
Well, thank you for the plug with the book. For those of you who are too busy to read, it's also an audio book, so you can have my Scottish tone helping you go to sleep at night if that is where you listen to your audiobooks. But I love my journey as a professional sports person. That was fantastic. Of course, it's high stakes, high pressure, high reward. The world is watching, so if you have success, you celebrate that success in front of a global audience. If you screw up, there's nowhere to hide, and everybody gets to see that you got it wrong. And so that is a big emotional roller coaster. But actually, I love that journey, and I love being exposed to success and failure because the highs of bringing something together, realizing a vision that you have, is something that brings me a great deal of pleasure in my life. So, Velocity is still a relatively, let's say, young company in its journey, But we've achieved, I think, some great successes, some great partners. We've worked with everyone from Formula One directly and continue to do so, to many of the teams and the brands that are involved, and we're continuing to grow in that area. So I love this journey. You know, we were talking before coming on air that I just have this mindset that every day is a potential work day. I don't have this Monday to Friday mentality, and I believe that will be the same for many of you, if not all of you in this room. And if you love what you do and you're passionate about bringing people together and finding solutions, then you know, I consider myself very, very lucky and privileged to be able to be part of this journey.
Do we have time for 3 quick fire questions? I can't read that. Okay. Perfect.
Probably would have been easier just to hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a birthday and everything's starting to get fuzzy. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, actually, we'll know when we have 1 minute when we get the birds. Yeah. Do you call it the bird here? I don't know what you call it.
That is the official symbol,
Ah, okay.
absolutely. Well, I love about, in your book, you talk about work ethic. And as someone who has to hire a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience do a lot of hiring as well, when you're interviewing somebody, can you identify if they're going to have the type of work ethic that you need?
Well, I'm not going to claim to have some sort of magic formula, but I have something which I personally like to do, and of course, recognizing that not everyone's able-bodied, but if it's an able-bodied person, then I like to do a walk and talk, because sometimes you ask someone a question, they stop walking to answer. I think they stop and think about the answer, and I'm always confused why some people struggle to walk and answer a question at the same time. So I kind of like to do the walk and talk, and if they can continue to walk while they're answering, I'm thinking, yeah, that's someone that's able to multitask.
Okay, I think I'm going to adopt that. You know, that's actually pretty good. Oh wait, we have a hand raised.
The question is, how do I think the culture of the Formula One fan base has changed over the last 30 years? I think that if I look back to when I first started in the sport, and you know, the sport had global reach back then as well, but of course it was a different world in terms of how we engaged with audiences. It was pre-internet, pre-social media, but the audience has always been, and this is one of the things I love about the sport, has always been a mixture of faces in the crowd, you know, young to old, male and female. What has undoubtedly been accelerated vastly in the last few years is the youth market growth, and also the female growth has just been incredible. And that horrible perfect storm of COVID, along with the Netflix release, which just has engaged with an audience and has really resonated, and that in itself has taken what were very popular sports stars, let's say Europe and other parts of the world, they're now becoming recognised in America, which, as we know, is sort of the holy grail of truly being a global industry, global business, and having global popularity. So it's been phenomenal to see that growth, and you know, I think the investment and the vision of Liberty has taken what was a very solid sports asset, and it's just supercharged it.
Okay, last 2 questions. I've got a 2 for you. Favorite track and best whiskey.
Oh, I love a whiskey. Well, again, I didn't know you were going to ask me that, but I actually have a whiskey from a distillery called Highland Park, which is in Orkney. It's the very northern island in Scotland, and my whiskey is called Saltire, and Saltire is the name of the Scottish flag. So, for those of you who are familiar with the Union Jack, that's the name of the flag. What is yours? American Stars and Stripes, is that what you call it? Or, yeah, whatever you call it. Anyway, the Saltire is the Scottish flag, and that's my whiskey. So I have a number of editions, but I have a nice 13-year-old, and the reason it's a 13-year-old is because I have 13 victories. If you're superstitious, I can change the label, and I can put 12 or 14. It's whatever makes you happy, but you can check that whiskey out. And what was the other? Oh, favourite Grand Prix. Well, I've been very lucky as a Brit to win the British Grand Prix a couple of times, but I've also won Monte Carlo a couple of times, and I live in Monaco. So, as a Scotsman, being able to race at a Grand Prix when it's your home, it means I don't have flight costs and I don't have hotel costs. So I'd probably say Monaco because it's very convenient, and the after party is pretty good as well.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Well, hopefully tonight will rival that. Really appreciate you helping us kick this off today. It's going to be a great couple days, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.